right, everyone. Welcome to Strictly Baseball. I'm Jacob Brown, joined here with Steve Cashin. There haven't been many signings since the last time we did this, but we're getting to spring training. Games are this weekend. Pitchers and catchers reported. Position players have reported. Everyone's there. We are about to get going Sunday. I think for some teams, maybe Friday or Saturday, but for the Yankees, at least Sunday starts spring training games. So we're here. Spring training games, you always look forward to it until you get to the third inning of the first spring training game and you're like, okay, I'm done. Let's fast forward a month and get out of here. And the players are like that too, especially the hitters. They're like, just put me in opening day and I don't really care. So we're at that point now, though. We got to do previews of this stuff and get going on what teams we think are going to be there and not be there. So first of all, Steve, how you feeling, man? I mean, baseball's starting up.
Yeah, it's finally back, officially back. We saw pitchers and catchers report, and the hitters have been back for just under a week, I believe.
Yep.
First game Sunday. The Rays are playing Atlanta at home up over there in Port Charlotte. So, yeah, I'm excited to see some live action. And it really, like you said, the first three innings of every spring training game, you're like, okay, this is what we got. This is what the lineup's going to look like. Get some pitchers, some work. But the only thing that you really tend to watch after the third inning is some young pitchers that come in that could potentially be under 40 man. So, but it gets dragging after a while. But it'll be fun to see like the real guys out there getting going, and I'm sure they're getting ready to go after this break and get into a full season. So I'm ready to get into it.
Especially those minor league players who have been off. They didn't get to play at all. They were in those, I forget what they even called them. They were like base camps or whatever they called them last year.
Satellite camps, I think it was, or something like that. But
yeah, it's ridiculous. So these guys are itching to get back to those prospects that you didn't get to see. First of all, though, you're repping my Yankees with that hat right there with the Tampa Tarpons.
Yeah, it's sick. It's the Tampa Tarpons. The logo is fire, actually. I go to a ton of those games, and speaking of which, I looked on every spring training teams that's local in Florida, and they're all sold out. Every ticket's sold out. So,
wow.
Disappointed that I probably won't be able to attend a game this spring. But once the Tampa Tarpons are back, that'll definitely be my move. There's only 500 people that go anyway. No one really cares. So that'll be my first really live action of some semi-pro sports. So but got to represent. I'll give them credit. They do get some good talent through when players get hurt for the Yankees, like Stanton, Judge.
Oh yeah,
those guys go and play in Tampa, and so that's a chance to see those guys up close and personal. So got to represent a little bit.
Yeah, it's interesting too that they changed that team from high A to low A, so they're like a rung lower in the leagues now, which is weird. I think but you'll still get that rehab thing. That's the pro facility, so they'll still be going down to Tampa for those games.
Yeah, I know. I saw that the other day. I was really confused. I was like, I'm pretty sure the Florida League used to be, it was high A. That was high A ball. And now I saw it's low A now. Like that's definitely wrong. But I guess with the readjustment, realignment of this season, and I know a lot of minor league teams were cut this past off season. So it's definitely a different look, and it's going to be a ring lower, but still minor league baseball, and it's a stepping stone for a lot of guys.
For sure. And we'll mention FAU baseball real quick. They took 2 out of 3 from UCF. If you look on our YouTube channel, we live stream the 2 home games at FAU baseball stadium. We're going to do the same thing this weekend versus Seton Hall. So FAU playing really well. So they beat FGCU Tuesday, took 2 out of 3 from the ranked, now not ranked anymore, UCF. They hit really well. The pitching was a little shaky, but FGCU, they pitched really well, gave up 1 run. But listen, I mean, we were texting back and forth. These guys haven't played in a year pitching. I'm going to give it a little bit of time. But the hitting was like they didn't take a break. I mean, Morganson, Hardigan, who we interviewed, the new guy, Nolan Shanuel, first base freshman, 6'4". I mean, these guys can hit. So offense won't be a problem. It's just going to be starting pitching. But regardless, taking 3 out of 4 is fantastic to start the year.
Yeah, for sure. I was disappointed. I was in Virginia all weekend. I left on Friday morning, got there, stayed until Tuesday. So I missed really a lot of the games. The only action I caught was the last 2 innings of the FGCU game. But I was getting tweets, texts from friends and everyone that was there. You were calling the games, and I was getting minute-to-minute updates. So it was definitely exciting to see them kind of jump all over UCF. That Sunday series, the Sunday finale, they were up in that game, and just a bad, I think it was 6th or 7th inning, they gave up a 7 spot.
Yeah.
Really disappointing there. But I mean, to take 3 in any series and sweep is hard to do. But you're 3-1 going into Seton Hall this weekend. Should confidently say that they could go in and take 3, yes, but 2 out of 3 would be nice. And then you go and play the number 7 team in Florida next Wednesday, which I'll be there. So it's been exciting. The hitting is, like you said, hasn't missed a beat. It's going to be getting those young guys in the bullpen ready to go, and I think they'll be just fine. They've been a year out of competition. You've been doing a ton of inter squads, playing the same guys. So I think they'll mold into their own. They have a good pitching coach in Crop. So I really think they'll hit their stride midseason, and I'm ready to go. And Caleb Pendleton too. Monster. I mean, when I heard that, I read the tweet that FAU baseball said 2nd grand slam in the same inning in his first 2 college at bats, unheard of. So that was unreal. Made some headlines for FAU all across MLB Network, ESPN, you name it. So great marketing there.
Yeah, and no offense. I mean, Jonathan Frazier had a good call of it. It was really cool to hear him go viral because we know each other. I made the call too, guys. I mean, give me some love. It's on the Instagram page, Strictly Sports Productions. I put it on the Twitter. It didn't get trending like everyone else. I didn't think it would, but
you send it.
I got to call that too.
Anywhere? Did you send it in?
I contacted FAU social media because we were in touch about when we went to the Super Bowl. They took pictures and everything and posted it. And I asked them. I was like, "Hey, could you post this?" And she was like, "Can I take a listen?" I sent it to her. She listened. She was like, "Okay, I'll send it off to FAU Athletics for them to post." And they haven't posted it. So
damn, JF got the upper hand on you there.
He did, yeah. I mean, it's a little. I mean, maybe rep your students a little bit, but not throwing shade. I mean, I love FAU, so just I love doing those games anyway. I don't want to throw shade, especially on air. I can't really say anything.
Yeah.
But, so we got only a few signings coming in here over the last few days. Todd Frazier, I feel bad, man. He minor league deal with the Pirates. He won't be having a lot of fun this year. But Brett Gardner, 1-year deal with the Yankees. He was able to bring it back. What do you think about that one? I mean, I was saying on Strictly Yankees with Mark, after Talkman, the Yankees had nobody that could play center field. And we know this outfield, you send me memes as much as you can that, Stanton will take a swing and be out for until September. So Yankees need their guys, and they signed Gardner back. I'm happy about it. Great clubhouse guy. I'm a Gardner fan. Nobody appreciates him because, he's not an all-star, and they're like, oh, how's this guy been here for 14 years? He's just a good baseball player.
Yeah, no, he's an all-around talent. I mean, he's got the speed. He gets on base. He'll work counts when he wants to. I mean, there's very, very rarely will you see him struggle a whole lot because he has all the assets you want. He's a platoon player now, obviously, but in the prime of his career, that guy was a pain in the ass to get out. I mean, I'm a Gardner fan. Watching him, not when he plays the Rays for any means, because that guy kills us. Somehow he'll hit 7 home runs all year, but 6 of those come against the Rays and in key clutch moments. So I'm like, really, screw this guy. But no, it's a great signing to get him back because we know the telltales about the Yankees. It's when is the injury bug going to hit? Because inevitably it seems like it always happens year in and year out, unfortunately. So that's a good guy to keep in your lineup. He seems to be healthy as well all the time. You can't go wrong with having more depth in that outfield.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And the Gardy party's back in New York. All right, so let's do NL Central preview. That's what we're going to do today. In our opinions, it's the worst of the 6 divisions this year. So that's why we're starting off with this. And I don't know. I'm thinking, do we try and screen share the document so that people can kind of see what's going on? And you just said to share it. I think I tried. Let me see if it worked. I don't know. I don't know if I should screen share it because that might be too distracting. So we'll just read off the stuff.
Yep.
All right. So I'll share it with you now. Technical difficulties here on Strictly Baseball.
First a few. Never really have any problems.
We're pretty good with that. I'd say.
Yeah, for the most part. Speaking of which, too, real quick about rehash FAU baseball. Yeah, the national media can keep slandering us all they want, but yeah, no, we'll show everyone that we'll win 40 games again this year, and then we'll kick some ass and come tournament time. So, just a little side note there, because we have, apparently Oklahoma's number 25 in the country. They play Omaha, who is dog shit, and yeah, we don't get rewarded for beating the number 24 team in the country. But that's my little rant on FAU rankings. So,
Of course not. Of course we don't get respected. I mean, hey, you finished in the top 25 last year. Oh, who cares? You're not there now. Just ridiculous. I mean, all FAU only lost Baez and Summerall, and that's it. And they replaced. I mean, Shanuel seems to be better than. I mean, Suarez is great. He's in the major leagues. Shanuel might be one of the best players that's come through FAU, period, in years. So, I mean, he got Player of the Week in Conference USA. I mean, he's a stud. So, all right, let's do the Pittsburgh Pirates. We're going to breeze over them. I mean, they're pretty depressing to look at. So let's look at them. They were last place, of course, in the NL Central last year. Their lineup, leading off and playing second base, Adam Frazier. Ke'Bryan Hayes, really the only bright spot in this lineup based on last year's stats at third base. He's the number 9 MLB prospect, played 24 games, had a 376 average, 5 homers, 11 ribbies, 442 on base. And he's 24 years old. You got to wonder why they waited till he was 24. Oh, yeah, maybe because it's the Pirates. And they're like, oh, now we have him till he's 30 years old because now we don't have to pay him a lot because we're the Pirates and we don't have to do that type of thing. Then you have Colin Moran hitting third and playing first. He's decent, slightly above league average. 10 homers in 50 games. This year, 13 homers in 150 games. The year before, they have Brian Reynolds in their cleanup spot playing left field. He's young, 314 average, 16 homers, 68 ribbies in 134 games in 19. Only hit 189 in 2020. So got to come back. And then 5 through 8, nothing there for the Pirates in terms of lineup. Gregory Polanco, man, fell off the face of the earth. It's crazy. He's just not good anymore. And then I forgot to mention Adam Frazier's stats. In 2019, he was just below league average. In 2020, he was well below league average. So let's start off with that lineup. Not much there.
Yeah, no, it's one of the more depressing lineups in the MLB. It's kind of like Baltimore Orioles-esque last year. I mean, now we can look at it with more scope, because we have a whole 162 game season now. Last season we had the luxury of, going, hey, maybe this team has a chance, start out hot. It's only, 82 games they played, I believe it was, or was it 60 last year?
60, yeah.
It was 60. So 60 was the number last year. And you were like, all right, well, if the team gets off hot, maybe they have a chance. Vegas has Pittsburgh, I think, at 56 wins this year, the lowest in the major leagues. And the Dodgers have the highest at 104 wins, I think, is their over-under. So the Pittsburgh Pirates are I look at this lineup, and you have Polanco, been in the league a little bit, Frazier leading off there for you. But other than that, there's really nothing to really bank off of. You got a lot of young guys. Hayes, the number 9 MLB prospect, 2020, he batted 376. There's some upside there, but Cole Tucker as well on the bench. He can play shortstop, play outfield. He's up and coming, I guess, star in the league.
He's also dating Vanessa Hudgens. Pretty.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I just saw that. I looked up his because you have him listed as shortstop, but he plays outfield a little bit too. So I looked him up real quick, and it's like, oh yeah, he's dating Vanessa Hudgens. So. Hey, I mean, if his season doesn't go so well, he maybe keeps that relationship going, and that's the bright side of this year. But yeah, no, this lineup is going to struggle all year. I think this is a team that really is going to have to get some young guys up and going, and just see what you got, and try to build up a young team, and then maybe find some bright spots there. But other than that, just not a very deep lineup. Yeah, very young. Try to find something there.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not much to say about this lineup. You could look for recoveries from Reynolds, and regardless, I mean, we'll look at this pitching staff. I mean, you got Steven Brault, Chad Kuhl, Mitch Keller, Tyler Anderson, and JT Brubaker. I mean, again, no ace in there, not even a guy who on a good team would be like a 2 or a 3. And this was the weirdest stat I've ever seen. Mitch Keller in 5 games started, 18.4 Ks per 9, 20 walks per 9. I've never seen that in my life where he had 20 walks per 9, and his ERA was 2.91, but his FIP was 6.75, and that stat is fielded independent pitching. I don't know what that means. I don't understand it. I feel like it's a small sample size. I really have no idea how to analyze that at all. But 2019, 7.13 ERA. He's supposed to be a prospect, but he hasn't pitched like it really. So I don't know. I really don't know.
Must mean Chris Archer got to him.
Yeah. Hey, thank God he left. He's back in Tampa.
Yeah, no, he's back here. So now he can just go, try to feed off of them here in Tampa. But yeah, no, that's a crazy stat. 20 walks per 9. And then you have 18 strikeouts per 9. I guess it's so skewed because of, only 5 starts, but still for that number to be that sky high, really, is it concerning? Yeah, a little bit, but he's only 24 years old. You're going to have some woes at the beginning, but if you can keep the strikeout numbers up and then get that walks per 9 down to, you want the walks per 9 at least down to in the 4 or 5 for an elite
even
pitcher.
less. Usually like 2 or 3. Yeah,
I'm saying it for the fact of a young pitcher, you want it around 4, I guess, if you're jumping into the league. But for an elite pitcher, you want it around 2. 2 is is high for an elite guy going 9. So yeah, no, that's a definitely weird stat, and they have some upside in this rotation. It's a young staff. They're gonna have a lot to learn this year, but just for like the hitting, just not a whole lot there.
Yeah, they just don't have enough to sustain it. And the sad thing too is, like, as a Pirates fan, what do you even have to look forward to? It's like Cabrian Hayes, he's a good player. But Josh Bell, a popular player for that franchise, he's just gone now. Traded to Washington. He had 1 down year and they're like, we'll sell high and get rid of him. So now as a fan, you're like, okay, well, we have Hayes and Brian Reynolds if he comes back, but there's no superstar. There's no McCutchen like they used to have, no Garrett Cole, or, they traded Jamison Tyone as well, who a lot of fans really liked. So it's just what Joe Musgrove is gone. It's just pretty depressing as a fan, I'm sure. But relief wise, maybe they can trade Richard Rodriguez at some point. 2.70 ERA last year, 13 Ks per 9. Other than that, though, I don't even know if they could trade anything to get better. And their prospects, they don't even have anyone in the top 30. So I don't know where they're going with this at all, really.
Yeah, and I hate to keep bringing up the Archer trade, but that was a turning point for this organization. And being a Rays guy, and I even see it. We reap the rewards of it now. But if you're a Pirates fan, that's the turning moment of the organization. You had 2 guys ready to go at the time. And you had Garrett Cole, I believe, was still on the team when Glasnow was starting to get into the league. And so they were he was feeding off Garrett Cole, the best pitcher in the league right now. You had Austin Meadows, up and coming outfielder. Look what he's doing in Tampa. Glasnow and him are both the 1-2 punch here. And you traded for a guy in Chris Archer that really didn't give you a whole lot. So you gave up the system for a guy that now is back in Tampa. And you're looking and you're like, wow, what the hell do we do here? If you have those 2 guys and they're still in the Pittsburgh Pirates, I think this whole organization looks completely different, because it's a potential number 1 pitcher down the road. You have a good outfielder that can, produce RBIs, home runs, can do it all, really. That can bring in some players that attract some juice for this team. But now, obviously, they're gone. No coming back now from it. But that, to me, was the turning point of why the Pirates are where they are at now.
No, I totally agree. They didn't get anything for Cole either. They're just not good traders. Josh Bell, they didn't get much for him. It's like, what are you doing as a front office, just not getting returns that you should? You've actually had good players filter through your organization, and you're still stuck with this, with not even a strong farm system. So it's hard to understand. Can understand if I'm a Pirates fan why you'd be pissed. So let's move on to the Cincinnati Reds. Weird team. Last year we were both pretty high on them. You were lower on them than I was. They did make the playoffs. We both, I think, said that last year. But they just stopped being able to hit. We can go through that lineup. Leading off and playing center field, Shogo Akiyama. First year in the big leagues, coming over from either Japan or Korea. No home runs, 9 RBIs. He walked at a 357 clip, so that's not too bad, but you're not getting power from him. Nick Castellanos, this is one of those guys I kind of throw out the 60 game type thing because he still hit 14 home runs, 34 RBIs, but everyone's going to get caught up and say, oh, he hit 225. His on base is under 300. Look, this guy the year before, 289, 27 and 73. This guy knows how to hit. I'm not too worried about him. But you have Joey Votto in the middle of the order, 37 years old. He's not the guy that he used to be. He's been declining year after year. It's kind of sad to see. We're not going to see that Votto anymore. Then you have Suarez, amazing, 2019, 49 home runs, 103 ribbies. Comes back this year. It's another 2020. I'm kind of throwing it out the window. 207 batting average. Who cares? He still hit 15 home runs, drove in 38 in a 57-game season. You have Moustakas, just kind of an average player at this point. Jesse Winker actually had an amazing year, advanced stat-wise. He had a 396 WOBA and a 146 weighted run created plus, 12 homers, 23 RBIs, and then Kyle Farmer. They couldn't get a shortstop. They lost Freddie Galvis and then Tucker Barnhart in that catcher spot. Not really the best hitter, but they do have the prospect, number 95 in baseball, Tyler Stevenson, coming through at catcher. So you look at this lineup, me and you, we were talking about it in the playoffs. They got shut down by the Braves. This team couldn't hit. They're going to have to rebound in a lot of respects.
Of course. And you mentioned the offense just going dead silent at the end of the year. You got shut out in 2 playoff games, 1-0 and 5-0. And you ranked 28th overall in runs per game last year. The only teams that trailed Cincinnati in runs per game were Texas at 3.73, and Pittsburgh came in at 30th with 3.6 runs per game. So you're looking at a team that really, when you look at when they made the playoffs, it was really just dominated by the pitching. You looked at Trevor Bauer, Sonny Gray, Castillo, and then you had Tyler Mahle. So you got guys that carried the weight for the Cincinnati Reds team. Trevor Bauer, that first game, they lose 1-0. He was pissed because he threw a gem. I remember watching that game. I'm like, he is dealing right now. If he gets 1 run or 2 runs of help, obviously you need 2 to win that game. But if you gave him some help, they win that series. I think they knocked the Braves out. But this team really has not. Look at Votto. He's getting older. 37 years old. He's been playing lights out. Hats off to him because he's been producing still at this age. But you have Castellanos batting second. Shogo, who had a good 2020 coming over, and there were some questions surrounding him. But I thought for year one showed that he can hit at the major league level. But you still have Moustakas. You have Suarez, who I thought he was pretty good in 57 games. Still young, 29 years old. So if this Reds team can figure out how to hit a little bit, then they'll maybe be a little bit more successful. But I think you won't see the same Reds team you did last year. Like I said, it's a long season. It's a grind. A lot of young guys in this lineup that, 100-something game grind, it just wears on you. And they had the luxury of a 60-game season last year. They rode that high, and they ultimately got to the playoffs. But I think you're going to see a different look Cincinnati team this year.
No, I agree with you. Losing Bauer kind of takes the air out of the room. You're like, oh, we had a chance, and now this guy's in LA, and we're stuck in a division that's just mediocre. We don't have the guys. But I think their lineup, again, it does have room to improve. If Suarez, I heard Suarez, he cut out beer and he cut out carbs in the offseason, lost a bunch of weight. So he had 49 home runs in 2019. So, I feel like maybe a Winker can pop up there. If you get Castellanos, Winker, Suarez, Moustakas, I guess, starting to hit, that's 4 guys. But, I don't know if it's enough.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I look at this, 1 through 8 now, because the MLB is a bunch of pigeons and decided to take out the DH.
Yeah.
Like,
we all know it's coming back next year.
Just wait till the NL starts bitching about how, we have to hit the pitcher again. Well, you guys decided that you didn't want to bring it back, and now watch the AL teams thrive once again with their DH again this year. It just adds more power and pop to your lineup. So Yeah, 1 through 8. Just I think you're gonna have to count on some guys bouncing back. Like, can you get more production from Moustakas? Can you get Jesse Winker to perform like he did last year, and even higher? And then Shogo, batted 245 in 54 games. Can you get some home run production? More RBIs. You would like to see, but yeah, there's still optimism and hope for this Reds team, but you should need some production out of your lineup a little bit more than you did last year.
Yep, I totally agree. And same thing. I agree with you on the rotation as well. Gray, Castillo, Malley. I don't know if it's enough. We'll see. And then that bullpen, they got Amir Garrett. They signed Sean. By the way, Amir Garrett probably like top 13, 14 reliever. Almost
so fire.
Oh yeah, 100 miles per hour. I mean, he's like the second Chapman. I mean, it's pretty weird how they get two guys that are almost the same.
Yeah, their body type is almost identical. I think when I saw him when he fought the whole Pittsburgh Pirates team, Amir Garrett's probably my favorite pitchers now because he just took on the entire squad over there. But yeah, no, his delivery, his mechanics, all that, it really it mirrors Chapman. Really, it really does. Like his arm slot when he's coming through the delivery, it almost looks the exact same. So the fact that they have two kind of like cloned, well, Chapman moved on, but that you kind of have an incarnate in Garrett. So can throw hard. He has a 2.4 ERA. He's a gem in that line, in that Reds bullpen.
Yeah, and I like the Sean Doolittle addition as well. And then their prospects, they've got number 59 prospect, left-handed pitcher Nick Lodolo, number 71 prospect Hunter Green. He's supposed to be really good. I've heard a lot of good things about Hunter Green. Mm-hmm. And then outfield prospect Austin Hendrick, but he's 19 years old, so he's a little bit of a ways away. So yeah, that's kind of our thoughts on the Reds. And now let's go to the Cardinals, and let's just start out with this. Overrated. They cannot hit. Their lineup is so beyond mediocre. When you've got Yadier Molina at 38 as your 5-hitter, and he's been below league average for like 4 years, you've got some issues. So, you got Tommy Edmond leading off, playing second base. Listen, he came up 2019. He's a switch hitter. He hit 304, 11 homers in 92 games. It's cute. Comes in 2020, below league average, 5 home runs, 250, doesn't really walk a lot. He plays all over the place, but with Colton Wong leaving, he'll play second base primarily. They got Paul DeJong. He had 30 home runs. The year before was exactly league average. This year he comes in, he hits 250 with 3 homers, well below league average. I mean, the year before he was right at it. This year, well below. The only bright spots are Goldschmidt and Arenado to me. Goldie, still putting it in there. 417 on base, 304 average, 6 homers, 21 RBIs. He's still a top 5 first baseman. We both did our rankings a few weeks ago. You check out that pod. It's pretty good. And year before, 34 bombs. He can still do it. Arenado, though, people, again, this is a 2020. I'm going to throw it out. He just didn't want to be in Colorado last year. I watched a video on it. They told him to sit 3 weeks into the season. They were like, you just stop playing. You clearly don't want to be here. You don't care. You're pissed. Get out. He had a bad 20. I'm just going to throw it out. But 2019, 41. We know Arenado, Gold Glover, 40 bombs a year. He's legit. But then again, Yachty 5-hole doesn't really hit offensively anymore. Harrison Bader in the 6th spot. Not exciting. 225, 4 home runs. Year before hit 200. But then number 13 prospect in baseball, Dylan Carlson. They have him. Didn't really hit well at all in the big leagues, but in the minor leagues, in 108, 108 games in Double-A, 281, 21 bombs, 59 RBIs, 387 WOBA. So he was pretty good. And then Tyler O'Neill, really not that good in 2020. So offensively, not looking too hot for St. Louis, other than that, those 2 guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's on paper, you don't have a great lineup. But when I look at it in this division's wide open, really. And you look at how Milwaukee struggled last year, or even the Cubs. The Cubs hitter kind of took a step back last year, but right now the Cubs are my favorite to win the division. I think they can get it done in a full season. But I think for the Cardinals, it was a lack of hitting at certain points in the season. Kind of similar to the Reds, where they lost a lot of 1-run games. The Cardinals were playing almost every night. last year because of COVID issues, and they still battled to make the playoffs. So I think the pitching really kind of, they held their own there, winning these 1-run games late. And I think the Cardinals can still be a contender. And when you look at it, I think they'll be up there with the wild card. Just because you have pieces of this lineup. It just, can they produce can they elevate their games a little bit? Because you went and got Arenado, who, his volume speaks, louder than anything we can say. 2019, 315, 41 homers, 118 RBIs. And you look at 2020, like you made a great point. He didn't want to be there. The situation was really bad. And he had no protection in that lineup either. Like, they could pitch around him pretty easily. They knew Colorado was like, okay, well, if we pitch around Arenado.
Yeah, like you got Story and Blackman and nothing else really.
Yeah. So if I get one of those three guys out, or if I get two of those guys out and then I get Arenado coming up, I'll just pitch around him. I'm not going to let that guy beat me. So he really had no supporting cast around him, which kind of maybe can contribute to those numbers. But you have in the lineup, I like Bader, who's a young guy, league average right now, 226, 4 homers, 11 RBIs, still young, learning the game. But they have some bright spots there. But Yadier Molina, I think they're going to have to go out and find a catcher eventually, because I think this is his last rodeo. He's 38 years old. There was question marks surrounding if he was going to come back this year, and he ultimately did. So I think if you're St. Louis, you're looking past him a little bit. I don't think he's going to get a ton of time. I think he split it with one of your minor league guys that's coming up, might be ready, and try to find something there, because Yadi, he's had a great, tremendous career. I love watching him play, but you're going to have to fill that spot eventually. And if he's your 5 hitter, we have some issues, but I think the issue for St. Louis is going to be scoring runs. And if they can somehow produce more, I think then you can kind of throw them in the mix for maybe the division. So, but I'm not quite to say they're there yet.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you on Yachty. I mean, part of me thinks maybe him and Wainwright want to go out at the same time, because Wainwright re-upped for a year, and, they've been together their whole careers. But yeah, I mean, it's just, how much longer can Yachty string this together? I mean, you got a guy who's just not hitting anymore. There's some guys that just don't want to walk away, and that's great. But St. Louis, I mean, they got to move on at some point. So I agree with you there. And prospect-wise, they don't have a catcher coming up. So, after Yachty, what's the plan? And then bench-wise, Matt Carpenter, longtime vet, hit under 200. He's going to have to rebound. He doesn't have a starting spot anymore. And then Lane Thomas, he hit 111 in 18 games, but the year before in 34 games, 409 on base, 34 games, 316 average, 4 homers. Maybe if he's that guy, he replaces Bader. Who knows? So yeah, I mean, yeah. So that's their lineup, and then rotation. You got Jack Flaherty. Bit of a step back in 2020. Went from a 2.75 ERA to a 4.91 ERA. But you can kind of tell in that FIP from 2019. He had a 3.46 FIP, so that's kind of more telling of who he actually was. And he went to a 4.11 FIP in 2020. I still think he's better than that. You have Kwang Yun Kim, 32 years old, 7 games started, 1.62 ERA. Lefty, he doesn't strike anyone out. He gets like 5.5 Ks per 9, but doesn't let up any homers at all. Then you have Wainwright, 39 years old, still in there, still dealing. Carlos Martinez in the bullpen in 19, great year. 2020, 5 games started, ERA almost at 10. So he's going to have to come in and adjust. And then Miles Michaelis didn't pitch at all in 2020, had a pretty decent 19. So you got to hope he comes back. And then bullpen wise, you got Alex Reyes, Gallegos, Jordan Hicks, Andrew Miller, pretty decent there. So their pitching staff, really, they're going to need them to kind of do what they did last year, at least those top 3, and then maybe get one more guy in there.
Yeah, for sure. And I think this middle rotation is getting older. You look at Wainwright, 39 years old. He's still kind of chucking, but in 10 games last year with 3.15 ERA, he pitched pretty well. I didn't think he had that many bad outings, if any. 7.4 Ks per 9, and he has those walks down. So that's why he's been able to stay in the league for as long as he has. So then you have Kim on the left-handed side. And Flaherty, who I like, who's young, 25 years old. I'd like to see him get his ERA down, only 9 games in 2020. But I think you have something there. In 2019, he started 33 games with a 2.70 ERA. So last year, you can really throw that. I don't say you throw 2020 away, but for a lot of guys in the league, it was just kind of I don't know. It doesn't carry a ton of weight with me. So I think the Cardinals have a decent rotation. They got some pieces in the bullpen too. And another guy that I think could be up in the major leagues this year is Jake Woodford, guy who I played with in high school.
Oh, cool.
He's 6'4", right-handed thrower. He throws the ball pretty hard. He made 12 appearances last year, went 1-0 with a 5.5 ERA, but he could be up there. Potentially he's one of their prospects that they drafted, and he's worked his way up. So he could be a guy that middle of the season maybe become a starter, but I think he's found his way in the bullpen. So, they've got enough to do it. This Cardinals team does. I'm not going to count them out. I want to see it in motion to start the season. So I think at wild card is where they end up. Excuse me, but I'll give them the second wild card as of right now.
Wow. So we got Cardinals in the playoffs. NL is pretty weak. I mean, you could definitely see them in there. I don't think so. I mean, we'll go over the playoffs as we go along here, but I don't think he'll be in there. But I was going to say something to what you said. Oh, that's cool about your guy, though. Coming up in the major leagues, I think that would be really cool if he gets a solidified role. And I can't believe I said this. We broadcast FAU. Former FAU catcher Pedro Pages is at spring training with the Cardinals second straight year. So if he starts to produce in the minor leagues, maybe he's the Yachty replacement one day. So we're rooting for Pedro, of course, former FAU guy. So we wish him the best. Prospect-wise, they have Matt Liberatore, 21 years old, a lefty, number 37 prospect in baseball. So maybe he comes up this year. Then they have a third baseman, number 38 prospect in baseball, Nolan Gorman. But Arenado's there now. So he's going to have to fill in for somebody. Goldschmidt's at first, so maybe he's trade bait. You have Cardinals in the playoffs. I don't think they'll make it. I think, you've got other teams in the NL that, might push them out, but it's the Cardinals. They have a winning culture there, so you could always see them perform better just because they're the Cardinals. So let's move on to the Milwaukee Brewers. And this team, I think they're a little bit better than St. Louis, although not by much. We'll go to the lineup. Former Cardinal Colton Wong, second base, 1 home run last year, but he walked at 350, just below league average. Year before, just above league average at 285 with 11 home runs in 19. Lorenzo Cain didn't play at all in 2020. He's below league average, though, getting older at 34. Christian Yelich, another guy, same thing as Arenado, throwing out 2020. He had 205 in 2020 with 12 home runs. I don't care. I mean, the year before, 329, 44 bombs, 97 RBIs, 429 on base. He knows how to hit. We know it. He's an MVP. Keston Hiura moving from second base to first base. This is a guy we kind of talked about last year. Maybe he fluked out a little bit in 19. Last year, back below league average. So who knows what you're getting with that guy. Avasail Garcia in the 5 spot, below league average. Orlando Arcia, below league average. Narvaez, we talked about him. Did he have a fluke 19? I mean, he was terrible in 2020, hit 176. And then, you have a below league average guy in your 8 spot. So it's a lot like the Cardinals. Where are you going to get your hitting? You have like one guy in your lineup in Yelich. You've got to hope for someone to start hitting because your bench doesn't have much help either. So, if Jensen Jennings is listening to this, I'm sorry, but, you're going to need some help over there. So what do you think about the Brewers?
Yeah, this whole division's just sucks, man. That's just the way to put it. It's other than the Cubs, who I think have a substantial advantage at the plate. I look at all these other teams, and you have 1, 2 guys, and then it's like, where else are you going to get your run production from? I mean, other than, like you said, Christian Yelich, who has been carrying his weight in 2019, 329, 44 homers, 97 RBIs. 2020, he batted 205, 12 and 22. So, once again, I'm not going to look into 2020 stats and say, oh, this is where this team's trending. This is where they're headed. I look at 2019 and like, okay, this is a full slate, 160 something games. That's what you're going to be getting. So I like Colton Wong. That was a good pick. He came over from St. Louis, correct?
Right.
Yeah. So that was a good pickup for them. I like Lorenzo Cain in center field. Didn't play in 2020, but 2019, 260, 11 homers, 48 RBIs. I like him in the second spot. But you go look at that, and there's question marks surrounding Hira. Still young, 24 years old, but
Yeah.
great 2019. 2020, average dipped off, but he still produced 12 homers and 22 RBIs with a 113 weighted to run created plus. And then Avasail Garcia, who I liked in Tampa, and he still produced, hit for 240, 2 homers, but you like his numbers to be a little bit higher after coming off the season he had in Tampa, but he's still a solid hitter all around. And 6, 7, and 8, you're going to have some question marks surrounding those guys. You look at Urias, Navarez, and even Orlando Arcia, who I like a lot. He had a good 2019, dipped off in 2020. It's been the theme, like I said, once for everybody, but they have some upside in this lineup, and but you're gonna have to see it on paper. You're gonna have to see it in spring training. Is this going to be their solidified lineup? That's what I'm really looking forward to. The spring training is what are these lineups going to look like after a 2020 where they were kind of dicing guys up. We're gonna like platoon guys and see what we got, and we can mix and match. But this year, I'm curious to see what Milwaukee's lineup is going to be 1 through 9,
Right.
1 through 8, excuse me, NL. But definitely not a horrendous lineup though.
Right, because you lost Eric Sogard, Ryan Braun, been there forever. He's gone. So those are, I mean, Ryan Braun especially, he's been there since I started watching baseball. So that's a really weird departure, and they could have still used him, except they're probably thinking, well, no DH, don't got anywhere to put him. So yeah, I agree with you. That lineup's going to have to rebound. You got to have some surprise performances, and I'm starting to think now that we're talking it out, Cardinals are definitely better than the Brewers, I think, because their rotation has more upside, but we'll check that out now. You have Brandon Woodruff, 2019, really good, 3.01 FIP, struck out 11 per 9. And by the way, you were talking about Jack Flaherty before, about you can kind of throw out that 2020. I agree, because he's still striking out guys at like 11 per 9. That doesn't go away. So he knows how to strike guys out. But Woodruff in 2020, 3.05 ERA, 11 strikeouts per 9, 2 walks per 9. He had a great year, actually, at 28 years old. Corbin Burns, I don't know exactly what he's got. I mean, 2019, 32 games in the bullpen, an 8.82 ERA. Then he comes in 2020, starts 9 games. He has a 2.11 ERA, striking out almost 14 per 9. So if he's in the middle, okay, good. Brett Anderson, been around the league for a while, kind of similar, 19s and 20s, low 4s, mid 4 ERA type guy. You have Josh Lindblom, not that great. Adrian Hauser, decent. He didn't really pitch in 2020, but 2019, 3.72 ERA, not that bad. Actually, sorry, 2020 he did pitch, but to a 5-something ERA. The bullpen's where it's at, though. You've got Hader, almost 15 Ks per 9. Everyone knows what he's about. But Devin Williams, I mean, 17.67 Ks per 9, ERA of 0.33. That might be the best season ever. So if he can be anywhere close to that, that's an insane 8-9.
Oh yeah, and I think when you look at this whole pitching staff as a whole, before I get to the bullpen real quick, I think this could be the Achilles heel for the Brewers here, because there's just not a ton. You have Woodruff, who's shown he can do it at the big league level, but if that's your number one guy, I mean, I have some concerns there. I look at Corbin Burns. Like you said, we have no idea what he's about. 9 games, 2.1 ERA, 13.2 Ks per 9 though, which is impressive in itself.
Yeah.
And then you go down to Brett Anderson, Lindblom, and Hauser. So you're 3, 4, and 5. You're gonna have some questions around there, but going with anything after coming off a short year, what's your pitching staff what are you gonna expect from these guys? A bigger workload. So I don't think they're in dire straits in the pitching department. I think you're gonna have to piece together a good 6 innings from a lot of these guys, because then you can bridge your way into the Josh Haders, and then you have Devin Williams, then you have Brad Boxberger in the back, Peralta. So you have some help on the backside, where if you can stretch together 6 innings from your starters and have it be a close game where you're ahead, then you're going to be in good shape to win games with Hader and Williams in the backside. So It's a scary thing to think about if you're going to the 8th, ninth, and you're trying to get a couple runs as the opposing team. But
They got to get
another
it there
thing
first.
yeah, you got to get there. And so with this Brewers team too, I think if it doesn't go well early in the season, come trade deadline time, I think you could see a guy like Hader or Williams move because those guys are valuable assets. Obviously, come playoff time, everyone needs a back end bullpen guy. It's huge when you go to shut games down when you're in a 7-game series because games aren't easy to come by. And so that's what I would definitely keep my eye on Hader and those and Williams come trade deadline, even beforehand. I think Hader was rumored to be on the trade block before spring trading started, but I think they're going to.
Hey, I know you want that. The Rays were rumored there a little bit.
Need it bad. If he were to somehow find a way to get here, but the Rays, I go over my head with the Rays. They really going to trade for anybody? No, they're not. They'll trade guys away, but. Yeah, anyone that would get their hands on Hader, that's a competitor or a contender, I should say, definitely would be getting a good one. Even Williams too, 17.69 Ks per 9. That's some.
I mean,
really
dude, like a
stuff.
.33 ERA. Like I don't even know how that's possible.
I mean, that's coming out and barely giving up. That's giving up no runs. Like out of 10 games, he's given up maybe 1 run out of those 10 games. So that's just lethal stuff.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely insane. So we're on the same page with the Brewers. I think you convinced me though. I think the Cardinals are probably better. They have more upside there. But prospect wise, the Brewers, number 65 in baseball, Garrett Mitchell, an outfielder, left-handed hitter, 22 years old, and then a shortstop at number 96, Bryce Terang at 21. Brewers have been trying to figure out shortstop for a while, so they really want that guy to come up and take over for Arcia, possibly, but he has some good minor league numbers. Mitchell hasn't played in the minors yet. So, yeah, there you go for the Milwaukee Brewers. Now we'll finish up here with the Cubs. I think they're going to win the division. And look, they had some down years offensively. Like every good hitter in their lineup almost had a bad offensive year. Ian Happ was their best hitter. 2019 and 2020, pretty similar years offensively, almost identical. 57 games this year, 12 homers, 28 RBIs. 361 on base, 369 WOBA, pretty good. Switch hitter leading you off. Anthony Rizzo, though, I mean, he goes from top 3 first baseman, MVP type guy, 2020, 103 weighted run created plus, hitting 222, but the on base is still there. That's a guy with Rizzo, especially. Wipe off 2020. The whole offense struggled. That contributes to it. Then you have Chris Bryant. He hit 206 last year. He was well below league average. At least Rizzo was still league average. Bryant was 77 weighted run created plus. That's like 25% below. I don't know what happened to him. Year before, he was really good. Then Wilson Contreras, he's kind of keeping it steady, keeping up that production, still a top 3 catcher. You have Javi Baez, another guy. He was the worst hitter on the team. He hit 203, 8 home runs, 57 weighted run created plus. So he's almost 50% worse than league average. I don't know what happened to him. And the year before we were talking about it, he's overrated. He was only a little bit over league average in 19. Then you have Jock Peterson. I don't understand that. They let Schwarber go, and then they bring in Jock. It's basically the same guy because they both had great 19s. Jock set career highs with advanced stats. He had 36 bombs, comes in 2020, hits 190. Suddenly everyone gives up on him. They're basically, I don't know why you wouldn't just bring Schwarber back. He's been there forever. But then they have Hayward, had a better 2020 in a short sample size than he did 19. And then I have David Bodie in that 8 hole, which isn't really saying much. But then the bench, Nico Horner, Jake Marisnik, Austin Romine, Cameron Maben, and Matt Duffy. Offensively, listen, Baez is not going to be that bad. Bryant's not going to be that bad. But who are these guys? There's legit question marks when you're that bad offensively. So what do you think about that lineup?
It's good. It's the best in the division, I think.
It is,
and
yeah.
A lot of guys. I mean, obviously, a lot of people weren't high on the Cubs last year, and they showed that they could still hit. And
Yep.
I like Ian Happ, who's 26 years old. Can play. He's played a short sample size in 2019, 2020, both 57 and 58 games, but he's shown he can produce. His weighted runs created plus was a 127 and 132 respectively in 19 and 20. But they got the names. You have Rizzo, Bryant, Contreras, who's top 3 catcher in my opinion. He's just unreal behind the dish, and he can hit too. Not many catchers in the league that we've talked about. We did our rankings for them, and not many catchers you find that can play good defense and hit, and the same token. So Contreras in your 4 hole's good. You have Baez, who had a down year, but that's not going to stay put. I think he's going to have a breakout year, in my opinion. I think a lot of people are giving him a hard time, taking a lot of heat after a bad 2020 in 59 games played. Then you go out and get Jock Peterson, who I think it's a step up from Schwarber.
Okay.
Peterson struggles at times, but I think when you look at the scope of the streaks Schwarber went on when he struggled a ton, you're going 20, 25 games where you're like, this guy is either striking out, he's not even getting base hits. I think for Peterson, he's got better ABs. He's not striking out a ton, but he mixes in hits every now and then, and he can hit for power. So I like him at that left field spot and bringing him in and dishing out Schwarber. And then, yeah, obviously you have Jason Hayward, who's been in the league. He's shown he can play good defense. He can hit, get on base, whatever you need him to do. And then David Bodie, who's 27 years old, played 127 games in 19, 11 homers, 41 RBIs. It's a good eight spot guy to have. He'd be platooned in and out, I guess. And you said Matt Duffy, right, on the bench?
Yeah, he's still around.
So he's somehow sticking around, but the Cubs are the Cubs. They have the names, the household guys that everyone knows. So I think they'll have a bounce back year after a average at best 2020 and getting bounced for the Marlins. So I don't think that'll sit well with them. So if I was the league, I'd keep my eye out for Chicago. They're not lethal, but I think in the back of everyone's minds, I think they should keep an eye out for Chicago because they had a really off year for them in terms of after they winning the World Series, they have a couple of low years and really kind of bad year in their respects last year. But I think they have a bounce back year this year.
Yeah, and the thing is though, I mean, the lineup, like I'm pretty confident, like they're going to come back. Those guys, they're pros, but their pitching staff, you lose Darvish, and you replace him with Zach Davies and Arrieta. Everyone's excited in Chicago that Arrieta's back. He's not Arrieta anymore. So 2019 4.64 ERA, last year 5 ERA. He's not the old Jake Arrieta. He's 34, turning 35. I don't know. I mean, I'd rather even have John Lester, and they let him go. So, you lose Lester, Darvish, Quintana, and you get Davies, Arrieta, and Trevor Williams. And Trevor Williams over 6 ERA in Pittsburgh last year. Now, they do have the prospect, Braylon Marquez, number 60 in baseball. Maybe he fills in. They have Albert Alzolay. But it's like, I don't know, man. I mean, you got 2 starting pitchers. It's this whole division. It's like you got one thing working, and then the other half is like brutal. And so they're going to need guys to eat up innings. It makes me think, though, there were a lot of Chris Bryant trade rumors. Trade him now and get a starting pitcher or something like that.
Yeah, because in this division, it's weak in hitting. So I think you have enough pieces around. Chris Bryant that if you got rid of him for a good starting pitcher and a bullpen guy or something like that, I think you're going to need it because you hit it right on the head. Kyle Hendricks, Zach Davies, good 1-2 punch. But after that, I like Arrieta. I think maybe he comes back to the form he was in Chicago, but we looked through his numbers the other day. He's 500. He's been 500 for 3 years now. So do you flip a switch and all of a sudden at 34 years old and go, oh, wow, I'm going to be the ace again, have a Cy Young stuff? No, it's just not going to happen. So not a bad number 3 guy to have. I think on any other stacked rotation, he'd be a 4 or 5 guy at best. But then you look at Alec Mills and Trevor Williams, it's just kind of like flipping a coin. What are you going to get each outing? So half's there, half's not. Great point you made. And I think if there's a lot of takers on Chris Bryant, then I would be I'd be willing to pick the phone up if I was the Cubs GM and go get a really dynamic starter that can back up Zach Davies, because you have a good enough lineup to score you runs and win that division. But I think what could kill you is your pitching staff.
Yeah, or even go out and sign Odorizzi, but we hear that they don't have a lot of money to spend anymore. Just something. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, maybe Braylon Marquez is really a plan for them because he's a legit guy and prospect, and if he can come in, maybe we'll see. Bullpen-wise, they brought back Pedro Strop. He left for a year, came back. They had Brandon Workman, former Red Sox and Phillies reliever, struggled a bit last year. Craig Kimbrell, not the same guy. So their bullpen even. Like, what are you going to get out there? Some of these guys just, they're at the twilights of their careers. They're not what they were a few years ago. So overall, just pitching is going to be the concern. It's the exact same concern from last year. And it always bothers me when teams with problems, they know it, they go a full year, they don't address it. Then you get an off season to address it and you don't do anything. So they're just steadfast. Like, okay, this lineup's got to produce. We're counting on everyone else just not being the best. Maybe we swing a Bryant trade.
Yeah, no, I think for the Cubs the last few years, it's been just very idle. I think you haven't made, I think you've had windows to move guys around, and they really haven't made the moves. And now you're kind of in a predicament now where now you battled arbitration with a lot of these guys, right? Baez coming to an end on his contract. You have Bryant. I think Rizzo, they avoided arbitration with him.
Yep.
And so you have a lot of guys that are going to be on the move this year after this coming into this offseason, I think. So I think it's either win now and try to bolster your lineup and your squad, or you're going to be in some shit next year, because I think a lot of guys are going to be willing to change some sceneries and go get their payday in somewhere else and try to win somewhere else before, a lot of these guys are 30s, they're getting there, and baseball's once you get to 35, it's kind of like your time's up and it goes by quick. So a lot of these guys might want to change and go win somewhere before it's all said and done. So if you're the Cubs, for sure, you got to go make a move if it's there, and you got to try to win it this year with this group of guys.
And it's amazing how quickly it goes by, because you're sitting there 2016 like, hey, we just won a World Series. We've got 4 or 5 years of these guys in their primes. Now they're all getting older. It's the same thing that's happened with the Yankees. Aaron Judge, 29 years old, Stanton, 30, 31. So at some point, their ages are just going to keep going up. They're not going to be the same guy. So order of the division, I think I've got Cubs, Cardinals, Brewers, Reds, Pirates. Are you the same way?
Yeah, as of right now, that's the same. I really think the Cubs are going to win it, and then we had the same order. I just think right now, on paper, we could do a quarter season update on our predictions, but right now I just don't see how many teams can overleap the Cubs, and then right behind them is St. Louis and Milwaukee are kind of neck and neck. It's going to be how is the first 25, 30 games going to pan out. So it'll be a telling. Time will tell of where these teams are going to end up.
Yep, absolutely. So let's do the top 10 third baseman. We'll do it a little quicker this time. So I'll just go 10 through 1. So, I don't think he's Fluke Shella anymore. I've got Gio Urshela in at number 10. He kept it up. I mean, offensive stats almost identical, 2019 to 20. His defense is Gold Glove caliber. I'm just waiting for the downpour, and it's not happening. So I got him in at number 10. I've got Devers in at number 9. He was a little bit higher on my list last year. This is a guy, he dropped off a little bit in 20, but 19, he was great. Justin Turner, World Series champ, in at number 8. Number 7, I got Eugenio Suarez. Again, I'm throwing out the 2020. If he can go back to 50 and 100, I mean, he's a top 5 guy. So I got Suarez in at 7. He who shall not be named from the Astros in at number 6. Then I've got Nolan Arenado at 5. You got to factor in the 2020 at some point when you're doing rankings, just because the guys in my top 4 had such amazing 2020s. It's like, how do I put them lower than Arenado? I got Donaldson at 4. He did hit 222, but his advanced stats were there. He also didn't play a lot. He played 30 games in 155 games the year before, 37 bombs. So Donaldson, still great. And he got to change his uniform number back to number 20. So everyone's happy about that, all his fans. And then number 3, Jose Ramirez. He went down in 2019. I took him off my top 10, but then 2020, he was insane. I mean, 58 games, 17 bombs, 386 on base, 415 WOBA, and a 163 weighted run created plus. So he was out of his mind at number 3. So I kept him in. I mean, I put him in the top 3. Number 2, I got Manny Machado. he went back to being Manny Machado. I mean, I watched MLB Network. These guys didn't want to put him in at number 2 or number 3. I'm like, why? He turned back into Machado. He was exactly what Tatis was last year. 304, 16 home runs, 47 RBIs, 391 WOBA, 148 weighted run created plus. He's an MVP. That's why he got paid. And then number 1, I got Anthony Rendon. This guy just keeps hitting. 2019, 34 bombs, 126 ribbies, 413 WOBA, on base over 400. He did the same thing this year. 286, 9 home runs, 418 on base, 395 WOBA. So I got Rendon in there in my top 10. I have Kevin Biggio and Alec Boehm on my just miss list. These are 2 guys that are young. Just do it again, and I'll put you in there. But third base, probably the deepest position in baseball. Maybe they won't get in there, even if they have good years. And this was a tough guy to leave off my list. And honestly, looking at it now, I might even change it and take Devers off. I have Matt Chapman off. And, second thought, actually, he's top 10. I don't know why I left him off. That was an oversight. So just put him over Fluke Shella at 10. And then I got Yohan Moncada. He's missing. He had a great 2019, went right back to what he was before that. Got to take him off. And I took Chris Bryant off because he was just bad. So what are your top 10 third basemen?
All right, so I've got Rafael Devers at number 10. I like what the guy's done since 2017. He's year in and year out, he seems to be a constant with the Red Sox. In 2017, 30 RBIs, 10 homers, 18, 21, and 66. 19, he went 32 and 115. So he's made a step up every year, and a drop off in 2020 with only 57 games played, 11 homers and 43 RBIs. So if you're playing on a pace of 162, he's probably up there with 30 homers again and probably going to rack in around 100 something RBIs. So that's where I have him at number 10. Even I could even put him even higher, but I got Urshela at number 9. I liked what he did last year for the Yankees. I called him Fluke Shella because one of my buddies said the story behind that is we were watching the Yankees Rays game one day and he goes, dude, Fluke Shella, he gets a hit every time. Dude, it's so gay. I'm like, dude, it's just the guy's raw. He just gets base hits. He plays good defense. So I have him at number 9. Number 8, Josh Donaldson, good year. But I thought it was a good spot for him. I thought so. Number 7, I have Matt Chapman. I thought he had the last 2 years, I thought he played a little bit better than Donaldson, but neck and neck. Turner at number 6. 10, 9, 8, 7. Wait, hold on. 10, 9, 8, 7. Yeah, Turner at number 6. My list is all jacked up real quick. It's in my notes. And then Machado at number 5. Ramirez at 4, Arenado at 3, Alex Bregman at number 2, and Rendon at number 1. I like these Astros guys. After this, watching them in the postseason, these guys can hit. And I think they proved it all. I think they proved it on this run they made in 2020. I hate them. I still don't like them. But Bregman, that guy was hitting the ball on the screws, and the numbers didn't show it in the postseason, but that guy can play good defense. The guy's my height. He's like 5'7", 5'8", and this guy is hitting the ball 500 freaking feet. But yeah, I have him at number 2. I like what he's done. Cheater or not, he still has a great approach to the plate, and it's very hard to get that guy out. So
yeah, I like your. So you left Suarez off the.
Yeah, I did.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, I mean, if he comes back, maybe you'll have him in, but. No, I mean, I should have put Matt Chapman in. That was a total oversight. I was just looking at this now, like, why didn't I not put him in? But yeah, I mean, listen, Bregman, biases aside, playoffs, yeah, he can hit 2019, incredible year, but that was the cheat year. He comes in 2020, he hits 240 with 6 home runs, and his advanced stats, 345 WOBA, 122 weighted run created plus. It's not too great. I mean, like the year after everyone says he's cheating, he goes boom, way down. So I'm like, who is this guy? I mean, he has to prove it to me again. If he comes back, 300 hitting bombs, I'll be like, okay. But right now I can't do it. I mean, you're laughing at me because I just can't do it.
No, it's just funny. I mean, I just think obviously stats speak for themselves, but I watch a lot of Houston Astros baseball, and I just think he got unlucky a lot this year. And I think maybe is that karma for cheating? Maybe it is, but I just like the way the guy approaches the plate, and we all can differ on our top 10s. And I saw these Dodgers fans. I looked at their top 10s. I go through some of these blogs, right? to see who has their top 10 to kind of like, gauge opinions. And 3 of the 4 Dodgers guys that are doing their posts, they have Bregman. 3 of them had Bregman top 2 and top 3. I'm like, wow. After
Yeah,
what
wow.
they did to you guys, like, but I don't know. I think a lot of people respect what he's done in the game, but that's a debate for another day.
Yeah, and you have Jose Ramirez in there, right?
Yeah, I had him at number 4. I had him at 4.
Yeah. No, he had a good year. Like I thought, because whenever he had those prime years where he was going off, and he did it again this year, there was always that sense, like the same thing with Gio, where you're like, when is it going to stop? And then 19 happened. I'm like, oh well, there it is. And then he comes back this year. He's like an MVP. And then Machado, I was really happy to see Machado do what he did. He was right there with Tatis stats wise. I mean, it was pretty insane.
Yeah, he had a great year. Everyone was raving about him, and then he was backing up with Tatis at the shortstop position. So I think he got helped out tremendously with him being in front and behind Tatis. So there was really no way to pitch around Machado this year, and I think you're going to see replicated numbers again this year. And he's really taken. I think the next step, he's matured a lot in his game, kind of just taken the game to the next level. And I think he's more of like, hey, we're going to win a championship now, and enough of the antics of remember his days in Baltimore where he kind of get in people's faces and it's all about me. But now I think he realizes what position he's in, that they can win and they have every ability to do. And so I think you're seeing the best of him right now, and I think you're going to see it for the next few years. The duration of his contract. Yeah,
no, I totally agree, and you're totally right about his attitude. He's much more team oriented now. I think it's because he's invested into San Diego. He's like, holy shit, Fernando Tatis is a superstar. Now we're going to get these guys. I mean, last year it was halfway the case getting guys last year, but, now you got Snell in there and Darvish and, who knows what the Padres can do. But, and let's give respect to Rendon. We didn't really talk about him. I mean, it's just year in and year out. This guy is just, a doubles machine, walks all the time. He's got power. He's got great defense. It's just a shame that he's with the Angels, quite frankly. It's just, why would he put himself in that situation? Maybe it was the only team, offering a contract, but I don't know. I mean, he's a tremendous player, though.
Yeah, I think he kind of did he screw himself going to the Angels? Maybe not. Maybe he thought maybe they were going to make some more moves on top of what he had in Mike Trout, and maybe since he came over to LA, we're going to be contenders now. No, but I think he changed markets for the money. I don't blame him. They gave him a bag, and he doesn't. I don't think gets enough respect. He did when he was with Washington that last year, and they won the World Series. But you're in a different market. Us East Coast guys, we don't watch a ton of West Coast baseball, and we're asleep by the time we get those late games roll around. The Yankees Rays play. All right, I'm done. Turn the TV off. So I don't think he did him any favors by going to the West Coast area. You just don't get as much coverage over here where a majority of the teams are. So, but he's still an all-world talent, and I like his game. Dynamic glove, can hit for power, and pretty much he's got all the tools of the trade. So,
hey, and a World Series champ too. Respect. Yep. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, he can. He's got the whole package. And again, respect to Kevin Biggio, Alec Boehm. Like, let's say second base or catcher, they're in the top 10. Like Kevin Biggio, when he was before they got Semien, I had him in my top 5 second baseman. And Alec Boehm, if this projects, like his minor league numbers are sick. I mean, this guy can flat out rake. I mean, he had a 381 WOBA in the majors, hit 338 average wise in 44 games. In the minors, though, I mean, geez. I mean, yeah, and AAA was where it stood out to me. 63 games, 14 homers, 42 ribbies, 377 WOBA. Like, this dude can hit. And then, JD Davis and Kyle Seager had good years. This is just a deep position. I didn't put Seager in there because, he hasn't been great for a while, and he kind of came back. It was good, but not top 10. And, JD Davis plays a bunch of positions. I was like, meh, not really putting him up there. But, yeah, third base is the deepest position by far. And, I like we had some differences there this time. And next week we will do shortstops. That's always my favorite. My brother plays shortstop. I like doing the shortstop list. So we'll have that for you guys next week. And yeah, that'll do it for this pod. We went long again this week. These baseball ones, we always end up going longer because there's so much to talk about. We previewed the NL Central, did top 10 third base. Next week, we'll talk about any storylines in the first week of spring training. We'll do what positions like second worst? Like, should we do, I don't know, like AL West? Because you got like Seattle, Texas, Angels out there.
Yeah, that division's not very deep either. Or we could stick with I said we just stick with Central. We should just go AL Central next week.
All right, yeah, let's do that. Yeah, we'll do AL Central next week and top 10 shortstops. So be sure to check that out. As I mentioned, we'll have FAU and Seton Hall live streaming on my YouTube channel. All 3 games this weekend. Strictly Hockey we'll be doing tomorrow, potentially, or if not, over the weekend. Strictly Sports, kind of taking some time off with that one. It's not really football season. We got these other ones to worry about. And then Strictly Yankees will have one in a few days as well. Strictly Rangers, same thing, although we don't really want to do it right now because we're kind of in a deep depression with how that's going over there.
And Aaron's going to wind up missing.
Oh, God. I saw that. I was like, what's going on?
Someone goes, man, the most anticipated playoff matchup this year, Putin versus the Rangers.
Oh, my God. That's great. I'm worried, though. Like, what if Igor gets called over there now and Kravtsov gets stuck over there? I don't know. Yeah. It's weird. Let's just say that. Yeah. So, exactly. That'll – So what was I going to say? Yeah. So that'll do it for this pod. You can find us on YouTube now. We got them all on YouTube. You go on playlists. It's all organized and all that. You can listen to us on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. A bunch of other ones as well. They'll be in the description. And for Steve Cash and I am Jacob Brown, and we will see you next week.